Hi guys, it's your girl Kayla. So today is Thursday, which really doesn't mean anything except for today we are doing True Crime Tuesday, which it will be True Crime Thursday. Anyway, so I didn't do my True Crime Tuesday on Tuesday because it was an election and I was really tired from vacation and I was not about to try to push in a video because your girl tired. Anyway, so I am going to be talking about the Axeman of New Orleans today. If you've not heard the story, they did cover some sort of variation of it in American Horror Story, and they also talked about it in My Favorite Murder. There's a lot to this story, so I'm just going to jump into it and get started with my makeup. So here we go. Oh, if you're wondering what kind of products I use, I will be listing those below. I'm just going to talk the whole time. So if you did not watch my last True Crime Tuesday video, basically I just talk about true crime stories that I find interesting, and I do my makeup at the same time. I am inspired by Bailey Sarian. If you have not seen her videos, do look her up. She's amazing at makeup and telling these stories because, I don't know, she kills it. So anyway, so in May of 1918, there was a man that, you guessed it, killed people with an axe. That's why he was called the Axeman of New Orleans. He specifically was in New Orleans and Gretna, which is right outside of New Orleans, I believe. It's what I read. If I'm wrong, you can correct me, but it's just what I read. I didn't go and like Google Maps it. So anyway, so he sneaks into these people's homes and kills them with an axe or any other household object. They also believed that this man hung out in the homes before and or after the murders and ate and waited, or just changed his clothes sometimes. Like, this man was a real creep. And the door was always locked when the police showed up, so that was even creepier, right? Like, so let's hit the scene. It's 1918. Jazz music is taken off, and World War I is ending. So this is the type of era that we're in, 1918. Okay, so one night, Joseph and Catherine Maggio were asleep in their home, and Joseph was an Italian grocer. This comes into play later, not just spouting out weird facts. And so him and his wife Catherine were asleep in their home when somebody snuck in and they sliced their throats with a straight razor. Then the killer also took their own axe and smashed their heads in. So Joseph survived but died within minutes after his brothers found him. Catherine did not survive. Her head was cut so deep that it was nearly severed from her head, from her neck, shoulders, whatever. Like, literally, her head was almost off. Terrible, super sad, insane. Yeah, so the brothers find him, and the police come. The door was locked. They found the bloody clothes of the killer, and so they find a straight razor in the yard, and they find out that it belongs to the brother Andrew. Well, Andrew was a barber, and one of his employees recalled that he brought home his razor to get a nick fixed. Well, this was super suspicious, obviously. And they asked why he didn't wake up because their apartments were right next to each other, or their rooms or whatever. And the police asked him why didn't he wake up when the intruder broke in. And he said he didn't hear anything because he was drunk from that night. So Andrew was the prime suspect for a while, but they couldn't he had a good enough alibi, and he stated that he saw a large man hanging outside the house before, or like earlier that evening. So now they're trying to figure out what's going on with this. There's a murderer on the loose, and they're trying to figure out the motive, blah, blah, blah. Well, one of the motives that they thought it was maybe sexually, or that the killer was going after Italians or just grocers, because his next victim was in June 27th of 1918, and it was Louis Basume? I think it's Basume. So Louis and his mistress, Harriet Lowe, were sleeping in their apartment above their grocery store, and they were attacked, and Louis was hit in the head, and Harriet was hit right above her, I believe her ear. And so they survived. They were found by this delivery guy that was delivering bakery goods. So they think it's this 40-year-old African-American man who just started working for Louis. He had no reason, no whatever. Like, they literally had no reason to assume that it was this man. But they did. And so he was arrested, and he also had a very good alibi. And what's her name? Harriet couldn't figure out. So Harriet couldn't figure out who attacked her. She ended up saying it was Louis, because she had said, well, he had attacked me with a hatchet earlier and in the week, and so they thought it was him. Well, I'm sorry, but why is he also gonna have a hatchet wound in his face? So Louis was charged with murder, and I believe was released at some point. I don't know, it didn't really say for sure when or why, or I didn't write it down. My bad. And Harriet Lowe passed away 2 days after they did surgery to repair her face, because she was paralyzed from the attack. And then after that, Anna Schneider, a woman who was 8 months pregnant, was also attacked. Same deal. She was attacked by a large object, which they later found out was her lamp. And, so this is what happened with her. She was sleeping, of course. Her husband was out at work. And, she woke to a dark figure bashing her face in with a large blunt object, which, like I said, they later found out was her lamp. Well, so she was discovered by her husband, and thankfully she was okay. And she gave birth 2 days later to a beautiful, healthy baby girl. And she didn't remember anything from her attack. And same thing as all the other ones, nothing was stolen, so it wasn't robbery, which is what they kept thinking it might be. And there was no forced entry into the home. So the next victim was Joseph Romano. So he lived with his 2 nieces, and on August 10th, his 2 nieces discovered him with two cuts in his face. and they saw a large figure rushing out of his room. They came over after they heard some commotion. So they heard something happening, which didn't happen a lot with these others, but neither of them could describe what he looked like. Sadly, Joseph Romano passed away 2 days later from his injuries. They did discover the axe in his backyard, and they discovered a chiseled out panel in his door. So now they know how this mysterious killer is getting into all these homes. So there for a while, they were like, oh, it must be about sex, because a lot of the victims were females and the men just got in the way. And then after Joseph Romano's death or attack, they realized, you know, this guy has no motive. He is just killing and killing. And one of the detectives actually called him a Jekyll and Hyde. So then on March 10th, 1919, another attack happened. So this was at the Cortimiglia residence. I'm just going to refer to them as their first names because I am not about to butcher their names. It was Charles and Rosie and their infant daughter, Mary. And he attacked all three of them. And Rosie was found with a serious head wound, clutching her infant daughter who had been killed. Both Charles and Rosie survived. That one really got me. Like, freaking monster, man. Anyway, so one of the weirdest things that I learned about the Axeman that actually really got me interested was this weirdo was obsessed with jazz music. So if you've watched the American Horror Story, it's the Halloween episode of the first season of The House. They play on the theory that the Axeman was a demon. And here is why. So the Axeman on March 13th, 1919, wrote a letter had it published stating that he would kill again 15 minutes past midnight. So I'm going to read you the letter. I'm going to stop doing my makeup while I read this because I'm going to read this word for word. So the letter stated, "The hottest hell, March 13th, 1919. Esteemed mortal of New Orleans," from the Axeman. "They have never caught me and they never will. They have never seen me yet, for I am invisible, even as the ether surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe, besmeared with blood and brain of he whom I have sent below to keep me company. If you wish to tell the police not to rile me, of course I am a reasonable spirit. I take no offense at the way they have conducted their investigation in the past. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid as to not only assume me, but His Satanic Majesty Francis Joseph, etc. But tell them to beware, let them not discover what I am, for it were better that they were never born to incur the wrath of the Axeman. I don't think there is any need of such a warning, for I feel sure the police will always dodge me, as they have in the past. They are wise and know how to keep away from all harm. Undoubtedly, you Orleanians think of me as a most horrible murderer, which I am, but I could be much worse if I wanted to. If I wished, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens and the worst, for I am the close relationship with the angel of death. Now, to be exact, at 12:15 earthly time on next Tuesday night, I'm going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I am going to make a little proposition to you people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether regions that every person shall be spared, in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well then, so much better for you people. One thing is certain, and that is that some of your people who do not jazz it out on the specific Tuesday night, if there be any, will get the axe. Well, as I am cold and crave the warmth of my native Tartarus, and it is about time I leave your earthly home, I will seize my discourse, hoping that thou wilt publish this, and that it may go well with thee. I have been, am, and will be the worst spirit that ever existed, either in fact or realm of fancy. The Axeman. No one was attacked that night. So the peeps jazzed it out, and like I said, no one was killed, which is honestly really creepy. But on August 10th, 1919, Steve Belka woke up and found a dark figure looming over his bed. So he ran out into the street. And discovered that his head had been cracked open and he was bleeding everywhere. So somebody helped him, got him to the hospital. He survived. He didn't remember what his attacker looked like. And it was the same thing, axe by the back door and a panel chiseled out. On September 3rd, Sarah Lawman was attacked. She was discovered by her neighbors. She was attacked while she was sleeping. Same thing, same axe, or same thing, the axe by the door, panel chiseled out. The last murder recorded is on the last murder recorded was on October 27th. Mike Pepitone was attacked. His wife awoke and chased the figure out into the street and apparently shot him. After that, the murders did stop. So we don't know if she really killed him, because I don't think there was ever a body discovered after that, but the murders did stop, so maybe she just like deterred him and was like, he was like, oh yeah, no, done with this, you know, but which is dumb, you know, I don't know. So, but it might have not been the last murder from the Axeman. So there are a lot of stories that they think may have been from the Axeman, but they were not in New Orleans, so they didn't count it towards, or they didn't think it might have been this guy. I don't know. I am going to cover them another day because literally there's so many. But one of the murders that was suspected was the Villisca axe murders. And so if you're not familiar, it was in Villisca, Iowa. And if you do not know, I am from Iowa. I live in Iowa. It's my thing, man. I am an Iowan. So the Villisca axe murders was like one of the biggest murders that's in Iowa. Like one of the biggest true crime stories from Iowa. But it was never solved. It's like one of the biggest mysteries. And like I said, I'll cover it on another day. Probably my next one. Probably my next True Crime Tuesday. But the house is still there and they do like haunted tours and stuff. So if you're into haunted tours and stuff, you should totally check out the Villisca Axe murder house. It's in Villisca, Iowa. So yeah, that is the story of the Axeman. Oh, like I said, there was a lot of murders from like 1909 to 1919 of similar like They were all killed in similar ways, similar, not really motives, but telltales. And so I guess you'll just have to watch my next video to find out what those were and to learn more about the Axeman of New Orleans. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Axeman of New Orleans and watching me do my makeup. So thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.